All right, we've got this square body Chevy short bed Silverado. I'm still trying to figure out what year it is. There's no markings in the door or under the hood. Everything's just gone. I would say that it's in the 70s just because the hood latch is outside. It doesn't have an inside hood latch. And I'm not good enough with these square bodies to identify all those different years. Round headlights. I will find out the year, but immediately I don't see it. I just got back from the beach and this one is waiting to be lowered. So we have already on our channel lowered a square body Suburban. Is this rotor locked up? Oh, it's tight. Probably needs a brake line over here. So we've lowered a square body Suburban. We've lowered a OSB. No, OBS, old body style. But I have not lowered a square body pickup truck yet on YouTube. Done plenty of them off of YouTube. But this one has already had the axle flipped. And not just flipped, but a 2-inch block in there as well. No, is that a 3-inch block? That almost looks like a 3-inch. Let's see. Yeah, they're going low with this one. Yeah, that's 2-inch block. But overall, that lowers it 6 inches in the back, which is pretty significant. So that is why we are going to have to do a notch kit, which is apparently in that box. And on the front, we will just do the normal cut the bump stops. Nope, he's already cut the bump stops off. He got impatient. So we'll cut a round and 3/4 off of the front coil springs. Which I'm trying to think. Usually, we may have to go more than that on the coil springs, because usually we don't go that low on the rear. He is going low with that block there. And he's got it. He's got the rear end. He's got the rear crooked. He's got the block in there way offset on that side and not so much on this side. What in the world has he done? Yeah, I'll have to fix that. I'll have to fix it. Yeah, you can see he's not centered up just right with his bump stop, but he is centered up with this bump stop. Yeah, he's got the rear end off centered. Dang it. Well, no problem. I usually don't like to lower the rear end before I do the notch kit either, but it is what it is. That's what I get for leaving. That's what I get for going on vacation. I get the leftovers. All right, let's see what we got in this box here. Well, I think I've already told you it's supposed to be the notch kit. Which we can make our own, but sometimes it's just so much simpler when somebody else has made it for you. Get your bolt kit, your bump stops, and you get your notch. Simple as cutting that shape out and drilling the holes and bolting it in. Easy. Not really, but it is. I mean, it's easy concept, but it is hard work. Yeah, usually what I do is I know that we got to take that old bump stop out, so I'll just center this up with that bump stop, and I'll just go ahead and take a Sharpie and draw that trace that general outline, and at that point you can just go ahead and measure this difference right here, measure that. You know you want that to be on top of the frame rail. And then you want that to be under your cut. So you're looking at, just say, if you went down 1.5 inches, that will get you right in the zone that you need to be. So we'll go from the top down to 1.5 inches. Top of the frame down to 1.5 inches. I don't like to undercut them because I don't like to have to cut it twice. So I'd rather overcut it than undercut it. Let me go find a tri-square. So we'll just get that mark right there. And about that same distance, that's probably about 1 inch. 1/2 inch. I will just kind of eyeball that. And get us some marks right there. As long as we're, I think, on the other side of that bump stop, we're good. That's what I'm thinking. Now this side has got this side of the frame. Right, so that's our pattern that we're going to cut out. We may go a little big on it, but you see this knob right here, that is actually holding a brake line or something, or some wires or something on the other side. So we need to pop that through, just like that. And yeah, that looks like probably the brake wires, or maybe to the trailer, the wire system. Just get that out of the way so we don't cut that. Then, as usual, before I cut that, I'll set a perch under the rear frame. Keep that from sagging after we cut it. We'll just put that right under I guess we'll go up a little bit with that on the lift. Get that almost. Golly. up under the frame now. I'm gonna let the corner of the truck down on the frame just to take a little tension off of her. Okay, so we've got a little tension back there just to kind of preload it before we go making our cuts. Okay, so here what we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and cut our notch. I usually do that with a Sawzall, just because it's the fastest thing that I've found to do it, and the safest thing. Safest meaning, I mean, I will come across here with a grinder, but coming up through here with a Sawzall, it's minimal sparks, it's minimal steel warpage, like if you were trying to cut it with a torch. See, the axle is in my way now, so I usually like to do this before we move the axle. Okay, my Sawzall is getting stuck, so it means we're getting a little sag. So I'm gonna put a little more tension on that frame. Thing I have mentioned before is really hold on to the Sawzall tight. Unless you want to jam some fingers. See, that one just pulled right out of the saw. I'll just take this grinder and go right across the top line. I usually like to just get enough of that cut to where I can break it out of there. Just a little bit more. There she is. Out of there, nice and clean. And this should fit right in. Yes, no problem. So now all we do is drill and bolt. Well, I was talking to the camera all this time for nothing. I forgot to push the button, I guess. So I got all these holes in. What I was trying to show you guys is that drilling these holes don't have to be hard. I'll use this step bit, and I've been using this same step bit for I don't know how many notch kits. And what I'll do is I'll keep it lubed. I'll put a little lube on it, little lubey doobie. And I'll just eyeball my hole. I don't use a center punch or anything. And I'll get up, I'll stand on this ladder so I can get high enough to put a little body weight on it to get that bit started. And then I'll go with it. These step bits, they just drill through these frames like butter. That step bit goes up to a 1/2 inch, which is exactly the size of the bolt. And I just put each bolt in as I drill, so it don't get off centered. I don't tighten anything until after I get all the holes drilled. Then I'll tighten. So at this point we've got all our bolt holes in the side of it. Now we got to get our bolt holes through the bottom, which is right here. Put a little lube on there. One thing I don't like about this notch kit is it has a little space in there that you probably really need to shim out. I'll show you. Right here, it's like it was made just a little too big. We got a space in there. I don't want to bend all that, so I'm gonna add a couple shims in there just to do the right thing. All right, at this point, you can go ahead and tighten her down. I like to go ahead and get the bottom ones first. Go ahead and put our bump stop on. Now remind me to put the bump stop on the next time before I put the notch up there. Okay, so you see it's all in there. Really just probably 30 minutes involved in cutting the notch and drilling the holes, bolting them down. I bet you, besides hunting down tools, which I'll have those tools on the next time. So you see, I put some washers there to space that so we didn't have to bend all that up. Now you can come back in here and paint all that if you want to. Right now what I'm gonna do is zip tie that. I'll run a zip tie right through there. Zip tie that up there. Or I could do like that. But that could come out. I think I'll zip tie it just to be sure that it never causes any problems. Actually, you know what? I don't know if I just don't think I trust that. Okay. All right, on the passenger side of the early model square body, you've got this bolt you need to take out. That is the vent for the rear diff, which it's broke anyhow. And then there's a bolt right here that holds this brake line. So you want to get that off. And then there's a bracket here that holds this brake line. It's riveted, so that stinketh. I don't know what we'll do there yet, but I'm hesitant to flex that brake line too much. I don't want to break it or crack it. So anyway, whatever you're going to have to do, you're going to have to pull this, get the brake line out of the way so you can cut and get this bolt, because it comes through the top of the frame and your notch kit's going to hit that. So you got to get that out of the way. Okay, so we did get the other notch done. It probably took another 45 minutes because I had to correct this. This plate was in backwards and this was on the wrong hole. So now that we've got that corrected, I guess we'll let her down and throw the back wheels on it. Okay, the back is done. Now we'll cut the springs. Okay, so we got the front wheels mounted now. We've got the coil springs cut down to where we want them. And I didn't show all that procedure just because I just went through that with you guys on the Suburban. I lowered the Suburban. You can go back and watch that video if you want to see more details about low. I'm always trying to work and talk at the same time, but if you want to see more details about the cutting of those coil springs, you can go back to the Suburban that we did just a few videos back and watch it. So at this point, so we do have the truck on the ground now. The front will be too high, so we'll have to make some adjustments there. And the rear end is very low. I mean, it's so low that I think even with the shock extenders, I think that shock over there is bottoming out. Bottoming out. Yeah, so even with the shock extenders, and this usually don't happen, but right there you see the rear shock. When I pull down on the truck, it's bottoming out. The right side's a little longer, it's not doing that. So we'll have to have a little bit of a shorter shock over here. And then the rear differential is very close to the bed floor. I think that 2-inch block is just a little much on these trucks. I mean, it looks good, but that hogshead is going to hit, or that differential is going to hit the bed floor. And then the front is just not low enough. We'll have to do a little tweaking on that. I'll have to take another half a round out probably. There's plenty of room up here, plenty of flex still. Plenty of suspension travel still, but it's just not going to be, it's not going to be low enough for what they want. Okay, so we are back on the 79. We had thought about raising the rear up an inch to take care of the shock bottoming out problem and maybe level it up with the front, but the owner likes the way it looks way down that low, so we're going to see what we can do to accommodate that. I don't think that we're going to get around the differential hitting the bed every once in a while. I'll show you that once I get it back on the lift. I'm either going to have to extend the shock extensions, or maybe it may be that out of this selection of shocks over here, we may have an old one that will be a little shorter. Then I'm going to cut another 1/4 to a half round off the front coil spring, but that's going to be about as far as I can go with it. I don't want those springs real loose in the pockets. Well, they won't be loose once the weight of the vehicle's down on it, but anytime you have to lift it up and service it, the springs will get all out of place, and I don't want to get into all that, but I'll get it up back on the lift and I'll kind of show you what I'm thinking about in the back here. Okay, so when this vehicle is on the ground now, this shock is collapsed to about here. So that's a long drop. And the differential is maybe 1.5 inches from this rib. I'm thinking maybe I can get a jack under there and just kind of put a little hump in that, but it's not going to be much of a hump, but it might help. And I've already bent this line. This line used to run up here like this. I've bent it down out of the way so it won't hit. And yeah, that's, I mean, the high spot's here, so I don't think it's going to hit that line. Okay, so here's what we came up with, or I came up with. This shock is shorter, and I'm not sure, this is just some aftermarket shock we had for some job that didn't work out. So it actually is shorter once it's extended. See, that much shorter. So that should work out good. I'll actually have to let the vehicle down on that jack to get the shock to actually line up there. All right, so I've got the rear shocks on there, and that is definitely going to keep that from bottoming out on the shock, keep the shock from bottoming out. I guess we'll see what it's going to do against that bed. But first I need to go up here and cut the next little round off of that coil spring up there. Let's let her down and see where she's going to sit. Well, that's looking a lot closer, but I am sitting on the jacks in the front, so I have to get the floor jack under there and get these arms out. I think that's it. We'll get it out of the shop where we can get a look at it from a distance. But I think that's about where they're going to want it. Well, there it sits. I think that's low enough. I mean, it could technically be a little lower in the front, but I don't know how. I mean, those springs are already cut pretty far. I don't really know how we're gonna. Now I guess we'll just take it for a ride and see if it scrapes anywhere. It shouldn't. The shocks are definitely not bottoming out now. It is. I can feel it hit the bed floor just a little bit, but that should, over time, just kind of put enough of a dent in there. Let's drive it and see what it sounds like. All right, we're listening for knocks and bumps. Oh, it's hot in this vehicle. Grief. We don't have to drive far. Oh yeah, I mean, that's a pretty good bump I just hit. It don't sound too awful bad, as long as the wheels don't scrape in the corners. Nope, that's a pretty hard left turn. Pretty hard right turn. Coming up on a dip in the road here. Yeah, sounds good actually. Hear any metal to metal anywhere? No tire scrubbing. Now here comes a bigger dip in the road. Ah, no, that sounds really good. I don't think it's going to be a problem. Could get in this thing and drive across the state probably. Most everybody that's buying these trucks now, they're not really putting a lot of miles on them. They're just using them to creep up into a show or a cruise in or cars and coffee or whatever you want to call it these days. Yeah, I think she's good. Well, as always, thanks for watching. I know this wasn't the most exciting video and most technical video, but I just wanted to get something out there. Just been doing a lot of vehicle lowering lately. We've got a, I think it's a 1980-ish, 84 maybe, Jeep Wagoneer. I'm sweating like a pig in this thing. Jeep Wagoneer that we are going to get running. Hasn't run in a good while. I'll show that. I'll show that to you here in just a second. I'm pulling back into the shop. So this Wagoneer, Jeep Wagoneer right here, I think it's about a, maybe about an 84, 85, somewhere in there. We are going to get that thing running, hopefully. So that'll probably be the next video. So y'all wait on that, and we'll be seeing you soon.